Oh, Ben, what can I say? The emotions must be sky high. Huge congratulations. Try to put into words what this means to you.
It's really hard to put into words. It's just a euphoric moment. Like every kid or child dreams of being an Olympian or Paralympian, given their circumstances. And obviously later in life, I had an accident, so opened up the doors to the Paralympics. And 5 years ago, I was in a hospital bed, and now I've booked my ticket to get on a plane to Tokyo. It's just, you just gotta yeah, I can't put it into words. It's just such an amazing feeling. It's just, yeah, ecstatic, I guess.
Yeah, well, we've got to really stress this point because all credit to you. From my perspective, it is a complete meteoric rise because you only took up rowing a couple of years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, so rowing was part of my rehab in Stoke Mandeville. But yeah, my international debut was in 2019. So that was pretty special. So I raced the Worlds there and got the boat qualified. And then it was kind of this is actually happening. You've got a stab at going to Tokyo. When I took up rowing and decided that rowing was going to be my new sport, I thought maybe Paris 2024 was a realistic aim, to learn about a new life in a wheelchair and learn a new sport and then get to the pinnacle of that sport. I thought it was going to take longer than 4 years. Somehow, obviously with the good coaching and great setup and all the support I get from home, this is been a reality 4 years early. So off to Tokyo 3 years early because of COVID.
I mean, water's in your DNA. I mean, you were brought up in Mumbles, so I mean, it makes sense. I know you used to sail when you were younger, and I know you're very close still to Swansea Rowing Club. I mean, they must be absolutely thrilled at your achievements. You really are flying the flag for them, and indeed for Wales.
Yeah, and you look back. Well, last Friday we got announced, and you kind of sit down and you look at the moments. You kind of, as an athlete, you never truly appreciate those big moments because you've always got the next goal. So for me, it was the selection, and then once you got selected, it was right now. I've got to get to Tokyo. And I said it to you at the start of this call. You congratulated me. I said I've got to get there first. I've got to get on that plane. Look at Alan Wynne-Jones and the Lions. It's just anything can happen. But so on Friday night, I kind of sat down with Megs, my partner. We relaxed and I looked at the moments that got me there. And it was a coffee with Nathan and Hugh Morgan and Andrew Williams from City of Swansea and the Woodman in Swansea in 2017, early 2017, being like, I want to try rowing. Can we make it work? And Andrew Williams, the then chairman of City of Swansea, kind of said, well, we're not accessible, but we'll give it a go. And that if it wasn't for that, yeah, we'll give it a go. That attitude, I wouldn't be here today. So I've got a lot to thank them for, and they do play a huge part in my life. And I do as much as I can with them. Despite being here now in Caversham, I still link with them on Zoom ergos and still engage with Andrew as and when I can. And he's always keen for a coffee when I go home, which is great. And he's really become part of my rowing journey and my family. Not just rowing family. He's a big part of people I reach out to for advice. And yeah, he's taken on I've got a great father. I'm not saying I need a father figure, but he is another father figure in my life. It's kind of, you can go to different people for different advice, and he's definitely one of those people I can reach out to.
Yeah, we all need mentors. We all need people we can reach out to, and it's really important because, if we look at your journey, sport was such a pivotal part of your life from a very young age, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got two brothers as well. So, competitive, fun competition was huge ever since I was 4 years old. On the arrival of my middle brother, Sam, I had a best mate. I had somebody that I could race in the garden with. I had who could eat their food the fastest, who could run up the stairs the fastest. So we were always competitive together. And then 8 years later, little Dan was born. So, we've always had that kind of camaraderie or competitive element at home. And then that was extended out because if you breed like a fun, competitive environment at home, then sport's probably the natural path for you to go down. And my parents were very supportive, not pushy at all. They'd let me try any sport I wanted to. So I grew up sailing, doing cross country, running athletics, playing a bit of football, cricket, anything you wanted to. My dad and mum would make it happen. And my dad jokes that he was just a taxi service because he basically would drop me at one sports club and then have to take the other brothers to a different sports club. And that's how my mum got into refereeing, because my mum ended up having to take my two brothers to the rugby club, and they were always fed with waiting for a referee or waiting for a referee from the older age grades. So my mum was like, well, I'll learn how to do it. So my mum did a couple of refereeing courses, and now she's refereeing at the Millennium Stadium. And yeah, it's really cool, you know. And yeah, I guess sport has always been an intrinsic part of the Pritchards. And it's something, you know, whenever we go home, sport is still on the TV, and we always have a discussion on sport. And we tend to analyse everything that we're watching, or WhatsApp messages are going out left, right, and centre about what sports on the TV. And yeah, so yeah, I'm very lucky that I was born into a sporty family and that I had the support to go and try these things, because I know a lot of people don't, but I'm very grateful for the life I had growing up.
And is it true that when you were in hospital, you were watching Rio and the Paralympics? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I didn't watch the rowing because that was literally the rowing happened on the day of my race. So the rowing started on the day of my accident. So obviously I was not in a great way for the first week, but then as I started to come around, I was watching bits of the Channel 4 coverage on my phone. And you know, I've always watched the Paralympics. I didn't just start watching it because I had an accident, but it kind of opened your eyes to this could be where you end up, and this is now your avenue. And when I got to Stoke Mandeville, we got asked to write down four goals. It was return to family life, return back to work, return to living independently, and return back to sport. Now, at the time, I didn't think that was going to be competitive, but sport had to be back in my life because that was my normality. I felt most comfortable and most relaxed when I was doing sport or watching sport. So I wanted to return back to sport in some shape, way, or form. And yeah, so sitting and watching these incredible people do the Paralympics, it was an eye-opener. I remember one time my parents coming to visit me in Stoke Mandeville, and we were pushing to the lift. It was like, I think it was like the first day. Actually, it was in King's College, so I hadn't even made Stoke Mandeville at this time. And we were pushing to the lift. It was the first time I'd been allowed in a manual wheelchair by myself, like a low back, as in a normal one, rather than I had a head support one. But the first time I had like a non-upper body supported chair, and I had to push the lift. And the lift must have been 20 meters from the room I was in. And I got to the lift absolutely dripping in sweat. And I just remember speaking to my mum, and I was like, how do they do it? Because we were watching the Paralympics. I was like, how do they do it? How do they live their life with their disability and also compete at the greatest stage in the world? And obviously, as you live your life with your disability, things become easier. But then you've got to fit an athlete lifestyle on top of that. And it was a steep learning curve, but definitely an inspiration watching it from hospital, that's for sure.
Well, you are an inspiration. Your mental aptitude never fails to amaze me. And I guess that is inherent with elite sport and indeed with GB rowing. What's the vibe like there? And tell us a little bit about training. Now we're getting ever closer to you getting on that plane to head to Tokyo.
It's really exciting. You know, there's been a massive shift now from winter, long miles, long hard training to short, sharp, racy kind of stuff. And that's when it starts to get exciting. You know, the weather starts to turn a little bit nicer, and it's not
good tan, by the way. Yeah.
It's not minging out. So the sessions are a little bit shorter, but harder. You know, but everything's turning out to something special. You can kind of feel that energy being turned up. Every day you arrive, there's something new happening. You know, we had team announcement, then we had our kit arrive. You know, and it's counting down the days now till we go. And the Olympic element of British rowing are currently on their final cap in Varese and Silveretta. So they're in their final push now. So when they come back when you can, they've only got a couple of days, then they fly out to Tokyo. And I think when we see them come back and then see them go off to Tokyo, it's going to make it really real, because we're only a month behind them. And, you know, I wish them all the success. And I think that's a real, you say about the elitist, or, you know, like the successful nature of British rowing. And I think that's part of it, is that the Paralympic squad train in and around the Olympic squad. There's no separation really. COVID's had to put his hand in somewhere, so we've had to separate out slightly. But, you know, we're in and around Olympic champions, Paralympic champions. So when you first come into Cantering, like I did, you're walking in a building with people like Sabiki or Polly Swan, or, you know, Lauren Rouse, James Fox, Norris Whiteley. You know, these really successful Olympians and Paralympians are eating breakfast next to you. So that kind of breeds success, because you're in a very successful environment, and they have good habits, obviously, which you kind of pick up on. And You know, and I think that's a real good testament to what the guys have built here in Capture.
And I know your training partners are very important to you. The rapport that you've got on and off the water is very, very special. You kind of spur each other on, encourage each other, don't you?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time together. You'd think that if we trained together every day, we'd be sick of each other, but a lot of us hang out outside of work as well, or outside of training. And I think that breeds a great team, because you kind of, their results mean a lot to you as well. You know, their success, their training, you get invested in that because you want them to do well, not just because they're your teammates, but because they're your best friends. You know, you're spending a lot of time with them. You know, and I spend a lot more time with these guys than I do with Max. You know, so yeah, I guess I had a conversation with a psychologist not so long ago, and it was about how I need to remember that I'm an individual athlete, because some of the stuff that was going on was frustrating me. And he was like, you need to remember you're an individual athlete. But I've never once felt like that, because the 13 of us, including staff, are so tight. I've never once felt like I was an individual athlete. I always felt part of a group. And I think that, again, just is testament to what the coaches have built here at Capture. You know, Tom and Nick have really driven that. You are the Paralympic squad. You're not the floor. You're not the double. You're not the single. You guys are a squad. Yes, we have our own coaches and our own briefings and stuff, but at the end of the day, what the four does has an impact on what I do, and what I do has an impact on what the four does. And I think, yeah, it really builds a really tight-knit group, and hopefully that tightness or that camaraderie will breed success at Tokyo.
I alluded earlier about this meteoric rise, because it is a phenomenal story, your kind of pathway to this point. And obviously earlier in the year, you won Disability Sport Wales Athlete of the Year. And I know what that meant to you. And I know how emotional you were. Try to put into context what that recognition meant.
Kind of prove that all the hard parts of this journey are worth it, because a lot of the times you don't see the flip side of what you do. You know, I turn up, I rock up to training, I do the miles, I hurt, I get tired, and I go home, and then you like log onto a call with the Disability Sport Wales Youth Board, or you link up with some schools. You know, you link up with the community that you're involved in. You set up Zoom mergers with city sponsors when they're in lockdown. They didn't have access to the water for 18 months. You know, you try and keep them involved in the sport. You don't see the flip side of that. You just do it because I love rowing, I love Wales, and I love my community. That's kind of, you know, that's a community mix up more than just yourself and your close family, I think. You know, my uncle George is kind of my biggest role model growing up, and he was very much church community family. You know, that was kind of his lifestyle. He was of that generation, the World War II veteran, you know, and how involved he couldn't walk. He lived in Knoll Park Road, which is just down the road from the Knoll Stadium. And we used to go watch Neath play rugby every weekend, and he couldn't walk 5 minutes without somebody stopping to have a full conversation with him, because he was that invested in the community. And I try to live my life like that, and obviously times are changing. Everyone's really busy, but I try and give as much back to those families as I can. And you never kind of tell if it's working. You know, you never tell. And it's not that I do it for the recognition. You do it because you want to do it. But to get that award for those reasons, it just kind of, you know, I was just like, oh, I do. Outside the sport actually means something to people. You know, it means something to my family, it means something to the city sports, it means something to all those Welsh kids that I speak to in schools. You know, all that time when I'm absolutely shattered, I don't want to log onto a Zoom call, but I do it. It's 100% worth it. And it's not quite. I don't think, obviously, the award recognised my sporting achievements, but for me, it was more about what I do outside of my sport, because you know, you look at the people that have won that in the past. We mentioned Alan Davis, Danny Thompson, loads of people in the history of disability sport Wales. They're not just disability sport icons; they are sporting icons. And now my name is right up there next to them. Just amazing.
Well, I think you're a tremendous ambassador, and what you do behind the scenes really needs to be noted, because I think it's testament to you as a character. You don't do it for the recognition, as you say, you do it because you want to give something back. And doesn't matter the geography and the distance of you being in Berkshire. We're just so incredibly proud of you in Wales, and you really are flying the flag, which is just absolutely amazing and super exciting to have a Welsh Paralympian on that water going to Tokyo. So finally, just wanted to get a vibe of how you're feeling, everything going according to plan with the schedule, because obviously now, as you say, it's pretty pivotal now, that lead up to you getting on that plane.
Yeah, I'd say everything's kind of moving in the right direction. Training's going well. You know, my mental space is nice and clear. I'm not worrying about anything. I'm just enjoying it at the moment. And somebody, Dr. Polly Swan, she's, you know, a silver medalist. We went for dinner before she went away to their work camp, and she said to me, the biggest advice I can give you is to enjoy this part, because it'll be gone in a blink of an eye, and just make sure you enjoy these little moments of picking up your kid, getting selected, all the media that comes from it. Just enjoy it, because it'll go and you'll forget about it. And those are the moments that actually make it. Because it sounds silly, but when you're on the water and you're rowing, you're just doing your job. You know, obviously there's going to be huge emotion to it, but I row every day for that. I row every day to get on the water, to give a good performance. So I'm just trying to enjoy these moments. Yeah, I'm so excited. What a summer of sport. You know, we've got the Europeans on at the moment, we've got Wimbledon just started, we've got golf, we've got cricket, we've got the Olympics coming, you've got the Lions Tour, and then you've got the Paralympics to top it all off. And I'm so excited for all the sport. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, well, we're really excited for you. Fly the flag for us, Ben. It's an incredible achievement. We're super proud of you, everyone in Wales, and I know especially in Mumbles and Swansea and Ammerford, they're all rooting you on like we all are. We wish you all the best.
Yeah,
go and get him, Tiger. Sort it out in Tokyo, all right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, keep an eye out for my glasses. There's something special coming for Tokyo, my sunglasses, so keep an eye.
Oh, is that a little bit of an exclusive? We'll be watching out for that.